Good morning, boys and girls. Happy Monday. I hope you had a nice weekend. This is our next English lesson, and as you can see from the screen, we've got two learning challenges for today. The first one is, can I begin to gather information for a new topic? I will explain what that new topic is very shortly. And the second one is, can I recognize and use abbreviations? I'll explain what an abbreviation is shortly. Now, our new topic. We're starting a new topic this week. I'm sure most of you will recognise the flag below. I'm sure you've seen that in quite a lot of places. It is, of course, the Stars and Stripes, the flag representing the United States of America. And we're going to be finding out all about the country, the people, the culture, the weather, the places of interest. And to start with, we thought it would be a good idea to look at the similarities, some of the similarities and differences between the United States and Britain, where we live. There are lots of similarities between the two countries, but there are also some differences as well, which I'm sure some of you will be aware of already. Now, your task, which I hope you'll be able to work on with your parents, will be quite a challenge, this first one, but I'll tell you more about that after we've looked at some of the slides on this PowerPoint. See if you can answer the quiz questions along the way. I'll pause and give you a few seconds to see if you can guess before revealing the answers. Like I say, I'm sure you already know quite a lot about this country, and it is rarely out of the news, especially recently with the presidential changes. Right, see if we can look at some of the similarities and differences between the two countries. As you can see from this world map, the United Kingdom is made up of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, and it is in the Atlantic Ocean. This is the Atlantic Ocean here. Now, the Atlantic Ocean is what separates us from the United States of America. It says here, the United States of America is across the Atlantic Ocean from the UK in North America, in between Canada to the north, that's here, and Mexico down here to the south. It's a huge country compared to our little Great Britain over here. Now, it is called the United States of America because the country is split into 50 different states, a bit like the counties we have in England. But these states, a lot of them are absolutely huge. And if you look at the American flag, there are 50 stars on the US flag in the top left-hand corner, as you can see, and each one represents one of the different states. You will have heard of some of them, I'm sure, but we'll come on and give some examples shortly. Now, it says on here, each state has an abbreviation. As you can see, TX there, that stands for Texas. A little bit like the UK postcodes. I know yours will begin with BB5 probably at the end. And we're going to have a go later on at trying to identify which state is which. Abbreviation is just a shorter way of saying a word by using one or two letters, okay? Like Texas is, which is down at the bottom here, and that's just represented by TX, but we'll come back to that a little bit later on. Hawaii, represented by HI, is over 2,500 miles west of California, and this is California over on this side, and about the same distance south of Alaska. Alaska's right up at the top. So it is a huge country compared to ours. It's about 3,000 miles from one side to the other, whereas in England, if you were to go from Blackpool to the east coast to the other side, it would only be about 150 miles. So you can see it's such a big country compared to ours. Now, it's that big that there are different time zones from one side of the country to the other. You will be aware of the time zones when you've traveled to other places, maybe when you go to Pakistan. I think it's about a 5-hour difference. You can correct me on that. But the Alaskan time zone, for example, in America, is 9 hours different from the UK. Hawaiian time zone is 10 hours different from the UK. In the mountains, it's 7 hours different. And over on the east side of America, there's only 5 hours difference. So you can see there's a huge difference just crossing from one side of America to the other. Like the UK, the USA is in the northern hemisphere, the top half of the world, and experience the seasons at the same time as the UK. However, it says the USA, America, is so vast, so big, that it covers a range of different climate zones called regional climates. And they get extreme weather compared to us. Okay, even though the seasons are the same, we don't tend to get so cold or so hot. In America, it's very different. Compared to the USA, the UK is so small that it has the same climate everywhere, although it is often a bit warmer the further south you go. The UK has warm summers and cool winters. Summers are cooler than others in Europe, that's because we're further north, but winters are milder. July and August are the warmest months in the year in the UK. January and February tend to be the coldest, as you can see by the weather outside. The west of the UK is the wettest. We're on the west side of the country, and it rains throughout the year. And anyone who lives in this part of the country will know that only too well. Now, this just gives you some of the other examples of crops that are grown in the country in both UK and the USA. We tend to farm very differently, and you can see some of the things that they grow in America. How many of those things have you heard of before? Or how many of those things have you had in the house? Corn, soybeans, wheat, alfalfa, cotton, hay. Now, here's your first little quiz. Here's some examples of American animals. We don't tend to have these roaming around in our countryside. Which ones do you recognise? I'll give you a couple of seconds to have a go before revealing the answers. Okay. First one, not just any snake, it is a rattlesnake. We have a moose, looks a little bit like a reindeer. This bird is also the symbol of America. It is the eagle. Down in the bottom left, we have a raccoon. In the middle, at the bottom, if I told you this one's quite smelly sometimes, you might be able to guess, it is a skunk. And over at the bottom right, we have the brown bear. Very different from the kind of animals that are roaming around in our countryside. Now, let's have a look at the next slide. We'll skip this one because we'll come back to it. Here are some words that are either used in red, it would be in the English and from Britain, and in the blue, it's the word the Americans would use. Now, again, I'm going to give you a few seconds. Just have a look at those words and see if you can guess the English equivalent or the American equivalent of our words. Okay, what does trash mean in Britain? I'm sure you know this one. It's the same as rubbish. Americans call these sneakers. What do we call them? If you've guessed correctly, you've guessed trainers. Holidays. What do Americans call holidays? Have you got it? Vacations. I'm sure you hear a lot of these words in some of the films and television programs that you use. But what do the Americans call a car bonnet, the front of a car? They call it the hood. We only have a hood on our coats, don't we? This one's already been revealed for you. That's my fault, I think. Pressed the wrong button, but we call it a tap. The Americans call it a faucet. The Americans call this one a sidewalk. What do we call it? Sidewalk is simply a pavement. In the bottom left, we call it a car boot. You know what the Americans call it? They call it a trunk. completely different to those things on the front of an elephant. Now, this is one I struggled with. I couldn't think of this one. Americans call it jelly. We don't call it jelly, we call it jam. And the last one, car fuel, petrol or diesel. We would call it, the Americans call it gas. I wonder how many of those you managed to get right. Okay, I'm going to go back to our original smartboard and explain your task for today. Now, this is that map of America that you've seen on the PowerPoint before, with all of the states broken up into individual areas. Now, I've got 4 down the side here that have all got an abbreviation somewhere in here, and I'm going to give you these as examples for what you're going to do. Now, this is Texas we talked about before, and Texas belongs here with TX. This one at the bottom I mentioned also, it's on the west coast of America. One of the biggest and densely populated states is California, and California is this one over here that would sit with C and A. CA is California. Colorado, very mountainous area of America. This will go right in the middle where the CO is. And this one here is a strange one. It's only a small one. It's only a small state, this one, Maine. And that sits right up at the top here where it says ME. So some of the abbreviations are easier than others. I wonder how many you'll be able to guess. Now, abbreviation, like I said, is a way of shortening a word. And here are some examples because we use them in this country as well. Lancs, Lancashire is often referred to just as Lancs, or Yorks for Yorkshire. Might just have letters like the states, so some areas you just refer to the NE or the NW, but NE in this case is the northeast, NW would be the northwest. DVN, another county in the south of England, that's Devon. And even London, I've got that the wrong way around there. See, we can all make mistakes, that should be like that. LDN is London. Now, you might even notice that when you're watching TV, for example, the match that's coming on Sunday this afternoon when I'm doing this recording is LIV for one team and MU for another. Can you guess who might be playing? If you're a football fan, you might be able to guess that the first one is Liverpool and the second half is Manchester United. Okay. So here is your task for today. In your portfolios, I've attached a sheet showing the abbreviations used for each American state. And I would like you and the family to have a go at finding out which state matches these abbreviations. Some of them are easier than others. I've already given you some examples as well. There were some that I just couldn't think of. I couldn't work it out and I had to check online. I had to do a Google search for the abbreviations of the states. So I'd like you to have a go yourself before searching online. But it's quite a challenge, and hopefully you'll know a little bit more about America as we move on through the topic. Good luck, everyone. I look forward to seeing your replies.